What's up, everybody? It's me, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to FantasyPros YouTube channel. Today's video is 16 players in 16 rounds. That's right, these are all the players I can't get enough of that you should get all of on your rosters this upcoming season. But before we jump into the names, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at FantasyPros, and don't forget to click that little notifications button and like the video as well. So let's start with round one, and where better to start than with Nick Chubb. They say that you can't win your fantasy league in round one, but you know what? You certainly can lose it. And if you're looking for a safe, good return on investment, look no further than Nick Chubb. In 12 games last year, he finished as RB9 in 2020. That's right, RB9 in just 12 games. This year, he's a lock for at least 1,500 yards rushing, maybe even the upside for 15 rushing touchdowns, and who knows, if everything breaks right, he could have a season similar to 2 years ago Derrick Henry, who had 1,700 yards rushing. I think he's going to lead the league this year, and he's a guy you want to build your fantasy team around. Round 2, Antonio Gibson. Last year, Antonio Gibson had 11 touchdowns and finished as RB14, even though he wasn't carrying the entire workload. This year, he looks like he could push the 1,400 yards rushing mark, and let me tell you, I think that there's absolutely upside for this guy to finish as a top 5 back, and you're getting him right now as an RB2. He's that perfect guy, especially in full PPR formats, to get as that second running back. Round 3, CeeDEE Lamb. Ooh-wee, 111 targets last year for CeeDEE Lamb, and he finished as wide receiver 20 in his rookie year, and that was playing just 4 games with Dak Prescott. This year, I've already got him in my top 10 wide receivers, and I think he could even push that top 5 if things break right for that Dallas offense. He's playing in the slot. Every week, he has a high volume floor and a high ceiling. What's not to like? And he's a little bit cheaper on the board than some other high-end wide receivers, but he has just as much appeal. Round 4, Kyle Pitts. I know what you're saying is, I can't believe you're going to put a tight end here and talk about Kyle Pitts. But what if he is the generational talent? What if the benchmark for projections of 800 yards and 70 receptions with 7 touchdowns is something he obliterates? If so, we're talking about a player that could be better than Darren Waller and George Kittle at a little less of the cost. And I'll tell you what, right now, I think Kyle Pitts, considering where we're at with the tight end position, is a guy worth that lottery pick. The upside is for real. He's also going to play some wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons this year. I think Kyle Pitts has all the upside you could possibly imagine, and it's time to start buying in. Round 5, Diontae Johnson. 144 targets seen for him last year, and just 88 receptions. He will get better when it comes to the drops. Believe me, Diontae Johnson has heard it all offseason. But let me tell you this, it's all about the volume. Diontae Johnson sees that high volume and probably this year will crack that 100 reception potential, because even if he just gets 130 targets or 125, 100 receptions is well within his grasp. He probably still has the upside for at least 8 touchdowns as well in that more balanced Steelers attack that's coming at you in 2021. Round 6, Javonte Williams. They say running back is a young man's game, and Melvin Gordon III is getting older. Health is potentially an issue for him, and I'm looking at Javonte Williams already as a guy that could crack 900, maybe even 1,000 rushing yards and 8 TDs with the upside for more if indeed Melvin Gordon should struggle with health or even struggle with performance for the Denver Broncos in 2021. Javonte Williams did not carry all the workload in college, so he has fresher legs, and that's a good thing for your fantasy rosters in 2021. Number 7, Robbie Anderson. 136 targets for Robbie Anderson last year, 1,000 yards, just 3 touchdowns. He finished as wide receiver 27 in 2020. In 2021, the man got paid. He's reunited with his best friend from New York, Sam Darnold. And let me tell you, if that volume comes close again, that number of 3 touchdowns will at least double. And all of a sudden, Robbie Anderson becomes one of the better values at wide receiver that you're going to find this draft season. Round 8, Antonio Brown. 8 games last year for Antonio Brown saw him haul in 45 receptions and 483 yards with 4 touchdowns. Now, I don't just like to be simple and extrapolate those numbers, but even if he gets 80 catches this year and around 900 yards and maybe 7 or 8 touchdowns, that is a phenomenal value as your wide receiver 4 on your roster. Take AB, the cheapest of all the Tampa Bay wide receivers, and reap the benefits. Round 9, Ryan Tannehill. Last year, Ryan Tannehill finished as QB7 with 40 combined touchdowns. This year, well, all they did was add Julio Jones along with A.J. Brown. Look, this is the year that Ryan Tannehill probably cracks 4,000 yards passing with this duo, and that is really not hard to imagine. Plus, the upside of the balanced attack with Derrick Henry is great. You know why? Because it keeps defenses honest, and that is something Ryan Tannehill is going to greatly benefit from in 2021. Number 10, Laviska Shenault Jr. Really, there's no tight end to speak of in fantasy in Jacksonville, and Travis Etienne is now out for the season. That means Laviska Shenault getting used in lots of ways that's going to benefit your fantasy team. As a wide receiver 5, he's got weekly upside, a very high ceiling potentially, and maybe even a pretty good floor considering now the vacated targets from Travis Etienne. Shenault is a guy worth that 10th round investment if you can get him, and it looks like you can. Round 11, Jaylen Waddle. Oh baby, am I excited about Jaylen Waddle working out of the slot for the Miami Dolphins. This rookie creates separation, he has got that big time upside, that playmaking ability, and yards after the catch for miles. I love all those things combined, with Tua looking much better this preseason than last year at any point in the season. Jaylen Waddle has phenomenal upside, and in round 11, he is one of the best values in the entire draft. Number 12, Marquez Callaway. Marquez Callaway's basically come out of nowhere for the New Orleans Saints and had a great preseason. And now, we're going to get Jameis Winston playing quarterback, and that, my friends, is a good thing. Winston has his warts, but let's not forget he's one of 8 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to ever throw over 5,000 yards, and they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. So, Marquez Callaway has all the opportunity to prove himself early on. If he doesn't, you cut him. But if you draft him and he hits, especially while Michael Thomas is on the shelf, Marquez Callaway can be not only a game changer, but a great trade chip as well as the season goes on. Round 13, Tony Pollard. 101 attempts for Pollard last year and 28 catches seems like a baseline for 2021. I would not be surprised if he goes up to 150 just to balance out a little bit of that Ezekiel Elliott workload, because Zeke is a 6th year in the league already, and there's starting to be a little tread on those tires. The tires are getting thin, so Tony Pollard is one of the better investments. Why? Because if something, God forbid, should happen to Ezekiel Elliott, all of a sudden his value goes through the roof, and he's already got a role in the offense in 2021. It's a win-win with upside, and we all know how much I love upside. Round 14, Trey Lance. Speaking of upside, could we be any more excited about Trey Lance in 2021? This guy looks like the total package. My favorite quarterback on the board this past draft season, outside of course, Trevor Lawrence. But Trey Lance has proven everything he needed to. Yes, he is going into the season with a little chip on that bone, but you know what? He's got a chip on his shoulder too, and he's probably going to force Jimmy Garoppolo out of that starting role sooner than later. When he does, the sky's the limit for his trade value. And even in single quarterback leagues, Trey Lance is worthy of a late round pick in round 14 because, once again, upside, trade target, that's what you want to have on your roster. And who knows? You never know where the health goes at the quarterback position. And instead of trying to surf on the waiver wire if something bad happened to Ryan Tannehill on this team, we could just pivot right to Trey Lance and not even miss a beat. Heck, it could even be better. Round 15, Jakobi Meyers. It looks like Jakobi Meyers might be the new Julian Edelman in this New England offense, and with Mac Jones under center, there's going to be a lot more proficient passing than what you saw out of last year's attack. Jakobi Meyers has a big arrow going up right now, and he is a steal, especially in those full PPR formats. Round 16, Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis is basically a free wide receiver, and let me tell you this. He had a nose for the end zone last year, and Josh Allen looked for him in big spots. That's right. When the game really mattered and Stephon Diggs was double-teamed, it was Gabriel Davis hauling in those big touchdowns. If you're looking for a wide receiver this year in the second year that has growth potential and is a free square, well, look no further than Gabriel Davis of the Buffalo Bills. Well, there you have it. Those are 16 players in 16 rounds. Don't forget to like and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/FantasyPros, and don't forget to click that little notifications bell while you're at it. That'll do it for me, Joey P, but the story of the game goes on. We'll see you next time, kids.